business. So again, my name is Bree Noble. I'm the founder of Women of Substance Radio podcast, the Female Entrepreneur Musician, and the Female Musician Academy. And today we're talking about comparison. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because we have the upcoming Profitable Musician Summit, and we're going to be hearing from a lot of experts and a lot of musicians who've done really well in specific ways of making money. And I don't want you guys to feel like less than or feel like you're comparing yourself to those musicians. And, maybe you've tried those streams of income before and they haven't worked for you. Or maybe, you're just looking at them going, oh, I could never possibly do what they're doing. So I want to make sure that that's not the case. So I wanted to talk this through before we got into all the learning that we're going to get into in the summit. So I'd love to hear from any of you in the chat here. Have you ever felt like less than, like when you compare yourself to other musicians and what they're doing, feeling like, how could I possibly do that? Or just like a little bit of jealousy there. So, I'm going to be like fully transparent with you today and tell you that I've definitely been experiencing some of that lately. And it's because I've been kind of involved in this course on getting more publicity. And in this course, you're seeing so many people having all this success, okay, I got mentioned in a Forbes article a few weeks ago, and that was amazing, right? But now I'm surrounded by people that that's a normal thing, or they write for Forbes, or, they're constantly on television and things like that. So, what are those triggers for you guys? I know for me, being in this course has been a bit of a trigger because I'm thinking like, oh, I thought I was doing really well. I thought I was really far along, after 3 years of working specifically in this area of business, but I compare myself to these other ladies and they're just amazing, right? So I think it's really easy for us to get into that kind of a mindset. So I wanted to provide you guys with some tools to deal with that kind of a mindset creeping in, because it will, I promise you, no matter what level you're at, you'll have to deal with that comparison. So I want to make sure that we don't let ourselves get overtaken by that. And it can happen so easily. I promise you, it can creep in without you realizing what you're doing. So the first thing I want to point out, and just like call out to you guys about comparison is a huge liar that will get into your head and will always be telling you that you're less than, that you're not enough. And so if you get into this comparison mode, there's absolutely no way you can win. It will just breed unhappiness because there's always someone out there that's better than you are at everything. I promise, unless you're an Olympic athlete. And even then, there's always someone waiting in the wings to take that gold medal from you the next time. So we just need to call out comparison for what it is. And it is a liar that will lie to us and get inside of our head. So you need to use some of these techniques that I'm telling you about today to stop that from getting under your skin and getting inside your head. Okay, so as we're going along, if there's any things that trigger you to feel like you're comparing yourself to other people, put those inside of the chat here, because I would love to hear them, and I'd love to, get us being a little bit honest about this. I think it's important to allow ourselves to be honest about this and how we're feeling, so we can move past it. And it's okay. Like I said in the description, we all combat the green-eyed monster because there's always someone out there doing everything better than we are. So we just need to learn what kinds of techniques we can use to deal with this. So the first thing that I want you to do, and this is something that I set forth inside of the Academy and also in the free group to make sure that we're helped with this comparison issue, and that is to celebrate your wins no matter how small they are. I think it is so important to celebrate wins every week, whether the win is that I didn't, I didn't do some kind of bad habit that's causing me not to make progress. Like I didn't sleep in when I really wanted to, because I knew I wanted to get up and get work done, or, I didn't get distracted by X, Y, and Z. That is a win. Like, it may not be the biggest win in the world, but if you constantly focus on your small wins, then you'll be in that positive mindset, so you don't let that comparison stuff creep in. But even more important than that, I think, is to celebrate other people's wins. Because if we allow ourselves to get out of our own head and get out of our own pity party and celebrate other people's wins, and we do it enough, even if we are feeling that jealousy, even if we're like, man, I wish it was me that was reporting that win. If we do that more often, then we actually truly will be happy for them. And that will completely change the way that we look at ourselves and the way that we look at competition and comparison. So make sure that you not only celebrate your own wins, but that you really compliment the people that do well. And I'm going to show you a way to flip the script on other people's wins in a minute. But that's the main reason that I have those wins post on Wednesday, is because I want you to have an opportunity to celebrate your wins. And I also want to give other people an opportunity to celebrate you, because it's good for them, and you the opportunity to celebrate other people. And I know many of you are super good at doing this. So I just wanted to make it a reminder that this is actually helping you to celebrate other people's wins, because then you're not in that negative mindset and you are not thinking of them quite as much as a competition, but as a healthy competition. Because when you support them, when you say good job and that's amazing, then you are also thinking to yourself, well, when I reach that level, when I'm able to report a win like that, then other people will be able to support me and celebrate me. And that feels really good. So again, wins are a big deal in my book. So let's talk about flipping the script on other people's wins. So instead of feeling jealous of other people, and I'm talking to you guys, not from somebody that's conquered all of this. This stuff comes up for me all the time, and it's a constant battle. It doesn't matter what level you're at, new level, new devil. It's always going to be there in the background. So if we have an abundance mindset, and that means knowing that, because someone else has a win, that doesn't mean we can't have it. Like, they don't take that thing out of the world for us when they have one. An abundance mindset means that we can do exactly what they did or more. There's plenty of space in the world for us all to succeed. This can allow us to flip the script to looking at what other people are doing, not as a comparison or as a jealousy thing, but as pointing the way toward possibilities for us. So, I think about, let's just take the example of, Steve, my friend Steve, when he did his music launch summit, right? It was an amazing summit. It was so awesome. And I could have thought to myself, man, I wish I could have done a summit like that. Man, he got ahead of me and now I can't do one. And, because he's like cornered the market on that. No, like, not only did I think it was awesome, I wanted to tell everybody about it because it was so valuable. But then I started thinking in my mind, well, if he did this, maybe I could do something like this. And what could I do? And it started, coming into my mind of the possibilities of what I could do. Not that I wanted to do exactly what he did or that I was comparing myself to him and his success, but it just pointed to the possibilities that I could have for doing something like that, but doing it obviously a little bit different with my own spin on it. And that's the way I want you guys to think about when you see other people having successes. Think about it like, oh my gosh, when I see what they're doing, that only gets me excited about all the possibilities that are out there for me, because now I've seen them do it. I know it can be done, right? And it can be done by me. and it just opens up the possibilities. And that's what this summit is going to do for you guys. It's going to show you all the possibilities of income that you can make from music. You know, maybe you've kind of thought in the background, like, oh, doing custom songs would be really cool, but I'm not sure that I'm cut out for that, or I know how to start. And then when you watch Naomi Violette or Anne Heaton talking about the fact that they do custom songs and they get paid very well for them, then you'll see like, okay, I see people doing this. This is something that I really could do. It's opening up the possibilities in my mind. And instead of like, oh, well, they're the only ones out there that can do custom songs. No, like I have fans. I have people that like my style of music. There's no reason that I can't take what they did and focus it on what I do. So that's the way I want you to think about flipping the script on the other people's wins becoming possibilities for you. So next, I want to talk about that negative mindset that creeps in, right? You need to stay aware of that. It's so easy for this just to like creep in without you even noticing and just kind of put this like layer of negativity over your world. So you need to be aware. And I've become very aware of this in myself. And like I said, like me joining this course where I'm learning to get more publicity, I start to feel this certain feeling in me when I'm reading someone's post and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling that jealousy. I'm feeling that green-eyed monster thing creeping in. And before I let it turn into negative self-talk of, I couldn't possibly do what they're doing, or it's not fair. I've worked just as hard as they have, but they have this. Before I feel that creeping in, I nip it in the bud. And so for you, you just need to know, what is it that triggers that for you, and how can you overcome that before it becomes a thing, before it takes over your whole mindset and keeps you from looking at people as positive competition versus comparison. And then last but not least, we definitely need to focus on our own strengths. We need to stop comparing what we do to other people, because what they do is so different from what we do. We are all unique. We have our own strengths. And so staying in our own lane is just so key to being able to really enjoy the benefits of competition, because there are a lot of benefits, like people push you. When you read other people's wins, I remember Carlene saying this. She says, you know, when I read other people's wins, I'm happy for them, but I want to make sure that I have one on that list. That's the competition factor that's healthy and good. And so we need to, in order to do that, we need to be, number one, comparing ourselves to ourselves. So, you know, did I do better this week than I did last week? Am I making progress? Is this win that I have, is it, you know, a little better than I did last week? You should only be staying in your own lane and comparing yourself to yourself. But then with other people, like, there is such a thing as healthy competition, and you absolutely should use that in your favor, but not allow it to turn things around into comparison. So just wanted to check in here, you guys, to see what people were saying. Yeah, negative self-talk, Matungi says. I've noticed it creates, what is she saying? Ill health. Absolutely. It can really, really damage a lot of parts of you if you let that creep in. Compare myself to myself, not to others. Absolutely. Carol says, I'm with Carlene 100% about being able to have something on that wins list. And Carol, you're so good at having something on that wins list every week. Beth says she put a post in the FIMC for folks to name 2 positive traits. That's awesome. Attributes they possess. That is really good, because sometimes it is hard for us to come up with like positive things about ourselves, so it can kind of flip the other way. Like sometimes we're the kind of person that loves to praise everybody else because we can see those things in everybody else, but not in ourselves. And it's important to have that healthy balance of praising other people and praising ourselves. Hey, Marianne, how's it going? And I did want to say hi. Thank you guys for waiting for me with my audio issues. I swear sometimes my camera takes over and it like steals my microphone away. So, awesome. Wanted to say hi to everybody that showed up here. We have Marianne and Beth and Carol and Carlene. And hey, Leah, how's it going? What time is it on your side of the world? And Matungi and Molly and Wynn. Great to have you guys here. Get what you give. Great quote there, Wynn. Let's see. Matungi says, reminding myself that my music and my story matters. And it has nothing to do with other people's talent. Oh, that is so good. Yes. Jesse, I struggle with even reading the Wednesday wins. Oh, I don't know why you should. You have stuff to put in there. Because I'm so discouraged with myself. Oh, we're talking on Friday, Jesse. We gotta talk about this. Let's see. Shame, self-doubt, self-sabotage, and envy are things that we deal with all the time as musicians. It's so true. It's so true. And like I said, like I am not immune to this for sure. Also saying hi to Marie, and I know I saw Nancy showed up here earlier, Catherine, Christina. Wow, it's so great to have all you guys here on Monday mornings. By the way, I want to mention while I'm reading through these comments that next week I'm going to have my friend, this is going to be so good, have my friend Greg Wilnaw, who is one of the speakers at the summit, come in and talk about musician money blocks. And this is going to be so important for all of us because, again, it's something that we need to deal with before we go through all the sessions of the Profitable Musician Summit, because sometimes we can know all the information, but we're self-sabotaging ourselves because we don't think that we deserve to get paid for what we do. And Greg is somebody who has absolutely been there and felt that way and dealt with making $0 for quite a while because of those money block mindsets. So it's going to be a really helpful session next week. Fine if we must, Jesse says. Yes, we will talk about it. Maybe by the time it's Friday, you can tell me what you're going to do, which one of these things here is going to help you get over the negativity, because you have a lot to offer. You definitely don't need to be negative. Molly says, I remember reading something, stop scrolling, that our jealousy is a great arrow for pointing us towards what we really want. Yes. And if we can see it that way, I mean, obviously there's a reason we're super jealous, right? Like there's a reason that I'm really jealous that, somebody got a TV spot, or they were on a particular show or anything or they were in a particular magazine. Like, obviously I want that too. They were on a specific, really popular podcast. And it's the same thing with you guys. You see people getting shows that you want, press that you want. If you can think about it more like an arrow versus an arrow toward your heart, that why wasn't it me? Then that can become healthy competition. Marianne says, I've been comparing myself to others far too much, at least in the past. I try to tell myself that I can't be comparing to anyone except myself. Absolutely. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, guys. Oh, so Leah, it is 12:30 p.m. Wow. So from Pacific time, you're about 15 hours ahead of me. That's amazing. Praising ourselves might feel uncomfortable for some people because you've been brought up that way. Oh, yes. And that is true. That is true. And I mean, I'm not saying that you go out there and say, look at me, how awesome I am. You know, you obviously approach it very humbly, but being able to say what we've done. And you know, I experience this a lot, like, especially right now, I have a lot of, every day I have some kind of, you know, cool publicity item that's coming out. And I feel like if I share all of those, I'm like oversharing and over showing off. And, you know, within the course that I'm in about publicity, I ask that question and they're like, no, like people want to be able to support you on those things. You're not bragging about it. You're just showing, hey, look at this cool thing that I'm involved in. And make it even more about like how cool the actual thing is, not what you did in relation to it, you know. For example, if, you know, I had an article on the Bandzoogle blog, like I could talk about how great that blog is and how helpful it is to musicians and not specifically about my article. So that might be a way to turn that around. Let's see. Just kind of still scrolling. Folks are commenting that they struggle with self-image and self-talk issues, age, weight, looks. And that's why I think it's so important that we have groups of women, because it is really hard to share that kind of stuff when there's mixed company. But we as women, and I mentioned this in a post in the Academy last week, like we all deal with that. And, you know, being on video is not the easiest thing for me, and probably many of you as well, because you're constantly thinking, oh my gosh, you know, my face looks too fat. I have wrinkles, you know, my hair is getting gray, like all the things that we deal with as women, that sometimes men can get away with. You know, men looks distinguished when they have gray hair. Women don't necessarily, unless they do it right. So that's why I love having groups of women where we can talk about these things and not feel uncomfortable about it. Oh, you guys are showing love in the chat. That's awesome. Good morning, Sylvie. Let's see. It's interesting. Yeah. So I'm finding that a lot of people are saying like the Wednesday wins are like a double-edged sword. They're super helpful and they're inspiring, but it also can kind of bring up that little comparison and envy monster. So that's where you just need to be aware of yourself and make sure that you don't let that creep in, and you are able to use it as the tool as it is to help you have some really healthy competition. Intentional social media breaks can be helpful too. And I think that's a really good point. If you are feeling, which can happen, and that was something I wanted to bring up, like social media can make you feel like everyone's life is perfect and yours sucks. And so if social media is making you feel that way, totally take a break. Because it's hard to compare yourself to yourself when you're seeing everybody around you and they're showing the best of themselves. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes, and I can't remember where it came from, but, you know, you're comparing their front stage to your backstage. And that's not fair. That's not fair to you. They're not showing you the ugly underside. So keep that in mind. But if just having that in the back of your mind isn't enough, then maybe you need to take a break from social for a while. And I will miss you, but I know you'll come back. It will be healthy for you if you need to. Let's see. But that's a really good point about social sometimes. And I have seen a few people like taking a break, and I totally understand why. Matungi says, I think I ask a lot of questions about my frazzled brain. You do, but I love your questions. They're very deep and well thought out, and they help other people. So don't stop asking questions. Beth says, I don't read Wednesday Wins when I'm struggling mentally or emotionally. Interesting. Yeah, if you have the impression that if you were to read them, they would just depress you, then maybe you need to skip them that week. You know, and hey, a Wednesday win could be, I read the Wednesday Wins and I didn't get negative about myself. Right? Oh, now I feel like crying. That was not my intent to make you guys sad and emotional. I just wanted to prepare you for the upcoming summit. And for anybody here that hasn't signed up, I know most of you have, profitablemusiciansummit.com, 39 experts and musicians that have been successful in specific streams of income. And so I want you to be able to be inspired and learn and not feel like I could never do that, or compare your efforts that you've had up to now in those streams of income to other people that are more successful. There's a reason that they're a speaker. You know, they're 1 in a million. Like, there's other musicians doing well at it. These people are some of the best. So you can't compare yourselves to them. Don't cry. We all love you. Yes, we absolutely do. So thank you guys all. Thank you for putting up with my audio issues. I'm glad you stayed around. And again, next week, I'm going to have Greg Wilnaugh, my friend, who's speaking on the summit. And he's going to be so inspiring for you because he has been in the position where he wasn't making money from music, and the thing that was keeping him from it was his own mind. Like, he had all these money blocks about how he couldn't make money from music. And he doesn't want you guys to deal with that like he did. So he wants to help you deal with these money blocks so you can jump into the summit and start learning right away and implement without feeling like, I don't deserve to make this kind of money from these tactics. So come on next week to Indie Interactive. It's going to be really good. And I'm going to have Greg as my guest, and you guys can ask him all kinds of questions about musician money blocks. All right. Have a good day, you guys. Thanks for showing up to Indie Interactive, and I will see you next week.